This individual here just oozes perseverance from when he was 4 years of age all the way up to his current day, and he'll share his story. And a couple of you guys might recognize this guy when he comes up here too. And so if we can bring down the house lights, and you guys are going to have to move over so you can see the screen. And we put together, with the help of Steve Spikos, he's one of our video guys. He'll be here tomorrow. No, he'll be here on Friday. He helped put this piece together. And so these are all the things that we're doing while you guys are getting ready for the showcase. These are all the things we're doing. We're filming. We're on the ice. We're in the center. We're doing all those pieces. So bring the lights right down, guys. All of them.
One tidbit that I could give to people about life would be to always pursue your passions and dreams full, taking your whole heart into it. Don't just half do it fully. And if you want something, go out there and get it.
It's with my incredible pleasure, thanks to our efforts and thanks to the support of Daredevil Hockey, to bring the final surviving member of the leadership team of last year's Humboldt Broncos team, Kaleb Dahlgren. Guys, let's give a big round of applause.
Hi everybody, can you hear me all right? Is this a bit better? First off, I just want to thank you all for having me here, and the standing ovation, that was not needed, but thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. You guys are all looking spiffy and sharp, holy. Hey, nice little suit you got going on, right? Yeah, that's good. Hope you guys are having a good time here so far. I know since I've walked in the door, it's been first class, so hope you guys are being treated like that and taking it all in, because it's a great experience. So today, I just want to kind of start off with some background information of how I got to this spot right now, and just my life in general. I'm sure some of you guys might recognize me, and if you don't, then that's great too. My name is Kaleb Dahlgren, and I was born in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and most of you guys have no clue where this is, and that's okay. It's in Saskatchewan. And it's a city of about 50,000 people, nothing too crazy. It has a CHL team there. I lived there until I was 6, and I moved to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, a little bit bigger. You might have heard of that place, maybe. And I lived there for my entire life. When I was 16, I actually moved away from home to play AAA hockey, and that was kind of a fresh time for me. I really didn't know what to expect, and I thought there was a lot of different things in my life, and moving away from home at 16 was not one of the things that would be that thing in the future, but it was. I am an only child. My parents are Mark and Anita Dahlgren. They've been married for 29 years, and they are both psychiatric nurses. Give you a little bit more. When I moved away from 16, I moved to North Battleford, which is another little small town in Saskatchewan, and lived there for 2 years playing AAA hockey. And then I went and played Junior A for 3 years after that, 2 years with the Notre Dame Hounds and 1 year with the Humboldt Broncos. So pretty normal lifestyle for a kid, nothing too crazy. But enough about my past. I'm here to talk about a little bit of perseverance, resilience, and my kind of attitude and values towards life. So raise your hand if you've heard of the word resilience. All right, keep your hand raised if you know what it means. Yeah? Anyone want to try? Give me your best shot. Coming back from a setback. I like that. That's good. Anyone else? Any ideas out there? No? Yeah? Okay, yep. Anything else? All right. So I wrote down the terms because I wanted to make sure they're exactly what they are on Urban Dictionary. No, I'm kidding. This is the actual definition. So, meaning of resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, comma, toughness, or the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. So now I've defined resilience, and you guys kind of have a good idea of what resilience is. Now give me an example where you might need resilience in life. Anyone? No examples when you need resilience? Yeah. Yep, that's perfect example. Anything else? Yeah, okay. Okay, yep. Yeah, yeah. And honestly, resilience can be applied to daily life things. It's not just a big issue. It can be something such simple as receiving a bad mark in school and thinking, oh, I failed this. Yeah, you failed it, but you can recover from that and recover back from it. So resilience can be anything in life. It's not just big setbacks. It can be little things too. So for me, I've had two experiences in my life that I call major life events where I've had to display resilience and coming back from things. So the first one that I'll talk about today, there's many, but I'm only going to talk about two because I don't want to be here for 5 hours. I'm sure you guys kind of want to get on the ice too, right? But I'd love to be here for 5 hours, but I think you guys want to get on the ice. First one is diabetes. So anyone ever heard of diabetes? Yeah? Okay, you don't need to answer this question. I got this one. It's a disease in which the pancreas, which is right here, inability to produce the hormone insulin is impaired. So to make it really simple and short and sweet, you guys have a chocolate bar that don't have diabetes, and you're fine. I have a chocolate bar, and I have to give myself insulin to repair, to give my to keep my blood sugar down. And so there's two different types that are the most well known. There's type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And so there's a misconception here with type 1 and type 2. I know one of the players in the showcase here, Ethan, he has type 1 diabetes, and so do I. And this misconception is that all diabetics are out of shape, live a poor lifestyle, and you're overweight, and you don't work out. And that is completely false. In elementary school, I'd get bullied sometimes, but I don't really call it bullying. I was more like picked on. But got picked on about being overweight and fat, even though I wasn't. And I'd be one of the best ones on our track event day. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, but you're overweight." And I was like, "Not really. I don't have a six-pack because I'm 14, but it's okay. You don't have to have a six-pack." But that was one type of thing that got me in life as a major event. So I'll kind of give you some background on that. When I was 4 years old, living in good old Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And at the time, my parents didn't really know what it was. I was at the babysitter's, and normally I was super, super, super hockey driven and passionate about hockey from 2 years old onward. And so I think it was every Friday night, my dad and I would play floor hockey downstairs in the basement. So I'm 4 years old, and every Friday, I was flying to a new place. So at my babysitter's, I was flying to San Jose that night. We were the Washington Capitals playing the San Jose Sharks, and that was what it was. And so I was sitting down, and I kept on going up and going to the bathroom. And my babysitter was like, "Hey, there's something wrong with him. He's gone to the bathroom 10 times and keeps on drinking fluids." So she called my parents. They're both nurses. And she got a hold of my dad. And my dad was like, "Yeah, I don't think that's right. I'll come pick him up at lunch." So I guess by the time he got there at lunch, I went to the bathroom 14 times and drank over 4 liters of water, which is not normal. I don't think anyone's done that before. 4 liters of water in an amount of probably from 8 to 12. That's crazy. A liter an hour. So anyways, I got rushed to the hospital. And just before, my dad took me home because he had to change. And I was sweating too. And so he changed me, and I went to the bathroom. I was like, "Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom again." So he opened up the door and caught me drinking from underneath the tap, where you stick your head underneath and you're taking a drink. So I asked what I was doing. So he knew something was wrong. He's never seen me do that before. So I got rushed to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, the doctors ended up doing various tests on me, and I got poked and prodded with needles. And about 20 minutes later, they're like, "You're a type 1 diabetic." And I was like, what's that? A 4-year-old. Just thinking this. Anyone have any siblings that are young? Like, can you imagine your 4-year-old sibling that would have type 1 diabetes? And what would that even mean? Like, they're really young. So you can imagine as a 4-year-old, you don't really understand what that is. My parents didn't really understand what that was. And they were like, your life is going to change forever. This isn't just a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to be forever. So I was like, okay, I don't really know what this is. I don't want to get out of this hospital. So I said on the third day I was in the hospital, I said to my parents, 4-year-old, remember this, I hate this doctor's house. I'm going to throw this chair through the window so I get sent home. So obviously I did not like the hospital. I did not like getting poked and prodded with needles, and I was not wanting that whatsoever. And so anyways, I got out of the hospital the fourth day after. And it was a hard time for sure. I went home. I was like, perfect. I'm done with needles. I don't need to deal with this anymore. 20 minutes later, I find out I need a needle. And so that was really, really rough. My parents said that I would tell them that they don't love me and that, why are you trying to hurt me? This hurts. Like, why? You don't love me. You guys are beating me up. I would play hide and seek. And my lifestyle changed for the first 3 months completely. I turned into a different person than I was before. I wasn't the happy-go-lucky Kaleb. I was a why me? This is stupid. Like, this isn't good. And so it took a toll on my parents. This wasn't an easy time for them. Can you imagine telling your parents at 4 years old, you don't love me? That would hurt their heart for sure. But they're doing better now. And we made it through that time. And that was a tough time because I was in the denial stage. I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, why me? Like, why did I have this? So anyways, growing up with type 1 diabetes, I never really had anyone in my life to look up to. Bobby Clark, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he was on the Broad Street Bullies, Philadelphia Flyers, when they were the real Broad Street Bullies. They'd beat up on teams, and that's how they won games. And so he had type 1 diabetes, and he played in the NHL. And my dad was like, you can. There's Bobby Clark that has done it before. But I didn't really know who he was. And Max Domi is only a couple of years older than me. So we were both going through the same stage. And there wasn't much research done on type 1 diabetes. There wasn't much out there. Like, people really didn't know about it. And so with that, I wanted to make a difference and be that one that actually did something with my life. I didn't want to just blame diabetes and be like, oh, I can't do it because of diabetes. I can't do this because of diabetes. So I tried to live my life to the fullest. And I had coaches tell me, you know what, like, you're not going to play hockey at a high level. And they're like, I'm sorry, but you'd be lucky if you made AAA hockey even. Like, hockey is a physically demanding sport, and with your diabetes, you shouldn't be able to do that. And so, you obviously can take two options. You can be like, okay, I'll listen to you. Or you'd be like, you don't really know anything about diabetes. Are you a doctor? Like, I'm sorry, but are you a doctor? And they aren't. They're coaches. And so with that, I was like, okay, I'll prove you wrong. So I used that as more motivation than anything, was trying to prove people wrong that I can still live my life to the fullest and be an athlete and pursue my dreams and passions with type 1 diabetes or not, and doesn't have to hold me back. So I know that I've had experiences, and this is from one coach. This is a good story. So I go to this hockey camp, and it's this summer hockey. So our hockey is different than in Saskatchewan than what it's like here. The highest level that I ever played was AA growing up. That's it. That was our highest level hockey. And then we had our summer hockey, which was AAA summer hockey, and you go travel in tournaments. But that was it. It was just AA all the way up until midget. And once you hit midget, then you could play AAA. But there was no midget AAA or quad A or whatever it is. There's different ones all over this country, but it was just strictly AA for us in Saskatchewan. And so played AA growing up, and so I'm trying out for this one summer team. I think I'm in Pee Wee at this time. And I go to the camp and do extremely well. I ended up leading the camp in points and hits and block shots. And they were tracking that at this camp. I'm not making this up. They were actually tracking it at this camp. And so I go into my meeting, and I'm expecting him to be like, yep, you're on the team. And as I should, I think, like, there was really nothing wrong with my attitude, and I had great on-ice ability, and there was nothing off-ice that was holding me back. So I go into my meeting, he's like, look, you led the camp in all these categories, but I'm worried about your diabetes, and I'm not going to take you on our team because of your diabetes. And so I was like, are you serious? Because of my diabetes, you're not going to take me on this team. I was like, what do you know about diabetes? And he was like, well, I don't really know much, but I just don't want that to be a negative factor for other players on the team. You checking your blood sugars or you missing practice or stuff because of your diabetes. I was like, wow, okay. I was like, is there anything I can improve on to make this team next year? Or he was like, no. It's okay. Whatever, I'll take it. So I left, and I got a call the next day from another summer hockey team. Thank God there was two. There was only two in Saskatchewan at the time. Just so you guys are aware, now I know there's plenty of summer teams, but there was only two in Saskatchewan. So this other team called me up and was like, look, we heard you got cut, even though you led the camp, we'll take you. So I went on that team, and we played that other team that I got cut from in a tournament in Edmonton, and we both played against each other, and I ended up getting a hat trick against them. And on my last goal, I just thought to myself, you know what, like, this guy's missing out on me because of my diabetes that isn't even holding me back. It'd be different if I wasn't able to practice or if I couldn't function because I broke my leg. That's different. But there's nothing holding me back. And so I grew up wanting to give back to type 1 diabetes. I became a national ambassador for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, which is a foundation to help find a cure for type 1 diabetes. And I've wanted to give back. I think when I was 12, I said to my parents, I want to give back to people with type 1 diabetes, especially children, because growing up, I didn't have anyone to look up to. There wasn't that person. I was like, you know what? If you want this, go after it. It was more, okay, I'm going to get set back, and I have to deal with it myself. So I wanted to be that kind of person for those children to be like, you know what? I want to make a difference. So when I was 16, I thought of this program called Dahlgren's Diabetes. And at the time, I proposed it to my parents, and they're like, scratch it. Like, you're too young for this. You're in high school. Try to get good marks. Like, you still want your scholarship. You want to play hockey. Just worry about high school. So anyways, when I was 18, I was in Wilcox, and that was a town of 400 people. And it's a pretty small town. Not many fans. Not going to lie, there's not many fans. And so we get, on average, like 100 people at our game, which is pretty good for 400 people in the town, right? So, I mean, like 100 people at the game, but there wasn't that big of a fan base. So I was an assistant captain on the team my 19-year-old year. And then my 20-year-old year, I was supposed to be named captain of the team in my exit meeting. And then we would have our awards, and then our awards, they announced the captain for next year type of thing. So we had our exit meeting, and I was like, look, coach, like, I want to start this program, and I don't know if I can do it here. And I'd be honored to receive the captaincy of this team, but I think I need to go to a different place where there's a little bit more of exposure and more of a fan base to rally around this program. And he took it pretty hard, and he was like, you know what, we'll do what's best for you, but just know that you're always a hound at heart. I was like, for sure, like, I completely agree, and I'm thankful for the opportunity I've got given here. So anyways, he traded me to Humboldt, and that was where I started this program. This program was to help bring awareness to type 1 diabetes and give back to the community, and especially younger kids. So what would happen is you're called a Dahlgren Diabetes. Pretty cool name, eh? Diabetes. I was just kidding. I was pumping my own tires. It's just anyways, so you'd be coming to a Humboldt Bronco game. You get a pregame meal at a local restaurant. This is for only type 1 diabetic children. I've had people ask, can I be diabetes if I don't have diabetes? No, you can't. Sorry. And no, not the type 2 kind. You can't just eat chocolate bars and then hope for the best. You actually got to be a type 1 diabetic. And so you go to the pregame restaurant and you have a pregame meal at one of the best restaurants in Humboldt. I think the best. There's Boston Pizza, that's a rival, but you have Boston Pizza everywhere. You don't have Johnny's Bistro everywhere. So it was called Johnny's Bistro. And you come to the rink and you get to wear the Dahlgren's Die Beauty jersey for the night. After that, then you get a ceremonial face-off with me and the captain of the opposing team. And so I was assistant captain, so our captain was kind enough to let me take the draw. And after that, you watch a game, you get tickets for yourself and immediate family. After the game, I come up and I'll chat with the family, give them some Bronco gear and some Die Beauty gear that I had, and a little bit of information on type 1 diabetes and the research that's coming out with it from JDRF. And I just try to explain to them just some struggles I've had in my life and ways to overcome that. And also just to shine a light that you still can pursue your dreams and passions without diabetes. So that was one case of me trying to demonstrate resilience in my life and to give back, to turn a negative into a positive. Because there's a lot of things in life that come out negative. You get told certain things and they're negative, but what you do with that information is crucial. So that was the number one thing. The other thing is obviously why most of you probably know me as the Humboldt Broncos tragedy. And I'll give you kind of the whole lowdown of the story because I want you guys and girls in here to understand kind of where I'm coming from and how this affected me individually. I know it's affected not just our nation, our country, but it affected the whole world. And so it's crazy just the amount of love and support that I have and all of the members on the team have received. It's just been absolutely unbelievable. So, no. So, story of the day and the accident and aftermath. So I'll give you a lowdown of the full day. We're starting out in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and this is a town of 5,000 people. And it's just a normal game day. I have 2 other roommates in my house. We have the whole basement to ourselves. And I woke up and we were preparing. This was our game 5, and we were down 3-1 in the series. But give you a little bit of information on the series. We lost 2 games, both with a 3-goal lead. They came back and beat us. So we could have been 3-1 us if we would have held the lead. But we obviously collapsed and blew both 3-goal leads. And the last game before the one that we were going to play that night went to triple overtime. And so our bodies were hurting, and it was physically and mentally demanding because that was one of the games that we blew a lead in by 3 goals. We were up 5-2 and lost 6-5. And so we had to mentally come back, and that's not an easy thing. But we knew waking up that morning that we were going to win the game. So anyways, we go and have a pregame practice. I'm not even sure if it was a pregame practice. We usually go to the rink and have practice. But I think that day got canceled because we had extra 3 periods in our game previously. So I'm pretty sure that day practice got canceled. But we went to the rink and we did a warm-up. And after that, went back to Johnny's Bistro, like I said, one of my favorite restaurants. Went to Johnny's Bistro, and everybody goes there. There's usually 15 guys that go there on game days because we get an additional 50% off of our 25% off meals. So we get 75% off the food. And so everybody goes. And so we went to there and had our usual pregame, little breakfast. Went home, packed up my stuff, and had a little nap. And then woke up and got ready to head to the rink for some video at 2:30. So we all went together in the same vehicle, Steven, Bryce, and I, Steven Wack and Bryce Fisk. And went to the rink, watched some video of the other team and things that we can improve on and how we ended up blowing a 3-goal lead again and ways to correct that. And they were honestly like weird bounces. They weren't even like, oh, we lost a tire in the ozone and the guy went in on a breakaway. It was like puck hit the boards, hit his shin pad, went in. Another one was a shot from the point, hit our teammate's butt, and then trickled in. And then the third one was a deflection that went bar down. And those happen. Like, it's just part of the game. And so it wasn't even big things that we could control or change. So it was more just getting us prepared for tonight and prepping. You know what? That was in the past. We're moving forward, and this is tonight. And so all of us loaded the bus, got ready. It was a normal game day. We just treated it like a normal game day. And we're heading out to Nipawin, and I know kind of who was all sitting around me at the time too. I remember this day like completely clear. I have nothing cut out of it. And so we're driving towards the game. I know Nick Shemansky, who's sitting in front of me. Right now he's at UPEI, but he was sitting in front of me at the time. And I was like, hey, Nick, like, isn't your house on this highway? And he's like, yeah, it is. I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me know when it is, because I knew it was on our way to Nipawin, but I just didn't know where exactly it was. So we're getting closer, and he's like, oh, yeah, like, here's my house. And I was like, oh, cool. And then Parker Tobin, who was across, was like, nobody cares. And so, like, everybody on the bus starts laughing. And then I, like, came back. I was like, well, no, I care. And then everyone else burst out laughing. Like, oh, of course, whatever. And so at that time, I was like, okay, I just need to change, need to get into the zone. So I changed into my suit, and I was wearing a suit jacket and a jacket over top of the suit jacket because it was cold outside. It wasn't just a warm little day. It was cold. And so I put my headphones in, went to pick a song, and that's all I remember. Everything just went black. And so for that, I don't remember from that point until 4 days after. So I'll give you a rundown of what happened in between the 4 days, like that point and 4 days. But this is all what I've heard. I don't remember it. This isn't my own. I've been told, though. So on the scene, my first responder came up to me, and I guess I was walking around. This was after the accident, and he was like, what hurts? And I was like, well, my full body hurts. And he was like, okay, but like whereabouts? I was like, okay, well, my neck and my back. And he was like, okay, so you just stay here and I'll grab a stretcher and bring it. I was like, no, worry about the other guys first. Like, worry about the other guys. I'm fine. He's like, well, you're wearing a t-shirt and you're obviously not fine. I was like, what do you mean? I'm a little cold. Yeah, on my neck and back. He's like, it's okay. We'll bring a stretcher. So he put me on a stretcher. And I was like, thank you very much for doing this, but make sure you look after the other guys. My name is Kaleb Dahlgren, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm a type 1 diabetic. They loaded me into an ambulance. Then that's what he said he remembers so vividly, because in all that horror and chaos, I was saying thank you and make sure you take care of the others. And he just couldn't grasp that. He thought that I'd be like, take care of me, I need your help, I need this. But I was more worried about the other people. But like I said, I don't remember this. So I ended up getting rushed to the Nipawin Hospital, and my parents were actually at the accident scene 15 minutes it happened after. So they were in Nipawin waiting for a bus to come by, and they were having their pregame meal, their ritual, at a restaurant in Nipawin. And it was announced in the restaurant that a bus got collided with a semi. And so they were like, what's that? Like, that's Kaleb for sure. There's no other bus. What other bus is coming through Nipawin towards Nipawin at this time? So they, honestly, I think they dined and dashed, not gonna lie. They dined and dashed and went to the scene. And when they got there, all they saw were people's bodies, and that's it. There was nothing. There was nothing there. They thought everybody passed away. They literally thought there was no one. They thought I was dead. They thought nobody made it out of that accident. So they ended up calling some people and heard that there was this little retreat going on at the Nipawin church. And so they went to the church, and they were like absolutely devastated. They were like, our son's gone. Everyone's son's gone, daughter. Like, everybody's gone. So they got to the church and found out that there was people alive and in the hospital, but nobody knew who was in the hospital. And that there was people all around different hospitals. There's a Tisdale Hospital, Nipawin Hospital. There's one more hospital around there that people were at. And so they thought, well, Kaleb can't make it. Like, I don't think Kaleb will make it. He was at the back of the bus. Like, just because normally it goes coaches, rookies, vets type thing. So they know that I sit at the back of the bus. And they're like, Kaleb's at the back of the bus. Like, looked like the way that the semi, they ran into a semi, looked like it might have been the front, but like, we don't know. So I guess they got word from our team's chaplain that I was alive and frantically, belligerently yelling at people. And so they were like, "Are you sure that's Kaleb? Because Kaleb is not like that at all." And they were like, "No, like it is Kaleb. He is yelling and screaming at people." And they were like, "Well, that's good that he's yelling and screaming at people, because that means he's kind of with it. But like, not good he's yelling and screaming at people at the same time. But we're thankful he's alive." So they said the hardest part was leaving the chaplain and the little church in Nipawin to go and see me, because other parents and families didn't know that their kid were alive. And so for them, that'd be so hard. I couldn't imagine being in that situation. You have families that know that their child has passed away, and then families that know that theirs is alive. And for them to be happy for you was just something that my parents couldn't get over. Because other families were like, "We're so happy that Caleb's with you guys still." And they just found out that their son or daughter had passed away. And so that just shows the kind of character that the guys on that team had. And so they went to the hospital, and there I was yelling at people. And I was saying, just my head, why the heck, I'll make this real nice. Why the heck is my head hurting this bad? Like, just do something about it. And that was all I was saying. I was like, it's not rocket science, just fix my head. And I was literally screaming this to people in the hospital. And people didn't understand. I didn't understand. My parents didn't understand. So I got rushed from there on air ambulance because my injuries were that severe. They rushed only, I think, 6 people on air ambulance to the RUH, Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon. And so with them, they obviously thought my injuries were quite severe if I was being rushed on an air ambulance, because the other people that also got injured were still there in the Nipawin Hospital or Tisdale or wherever hospital they're in. So like, okay, well, it must be quite severe. So they hopped on. This is them still not knowing what exactly is wrong with me. Drove back to Saskatoon. So I got admitted to Saskatoon Royal University Hospital. They got tons of tests done on me. And so with the event, I guess, I sustained fractured skull and a puncture wound in my skull, and I still have like a little bit of my baldness in here, and I think I was bald before the accident, but and I had completely no hair on my right side of my head. Like, it looked like I just had a razor and shaved myself, but it was all road rash. I had an imprint of seat 5C in the side of my eye, like right here. They just imprinted, and I was sitting in seat 13 on the bus. I know for sure I was in row 13, so we were making a joke about it earlier, being 13 crew, and I was in seat 13. Also had a brain injury, and it was quite severe. It wasn't just like a minor brain injury like concussions. Concussions aren't minor. I don't know if you guys have had concussions, but they are not a minor brain injury. So mine was quite severe. It goes concussion, 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree, and 4th. That's it. And so I had a 3rd degree brain injury. I still have it, but a 3rd degree brain injury. So that is quite severe of a brain injury. I had broken C3 and C7, so that's in your neck, and 3 other vertebrae compressed in my neck, so I had a broken neck. And then I also had a broken back, 4 vertebrae in my back broken. I had blood clotting, and I also, right now, I don't have any feeling in the back of my neck still. I have nerve damage there. And right eardrum bleeding, and other than that, though, I was okay. I was okay. But, thanks. But like, other than that, I was seriously okay. There was reports going around that I had both my femurs broken. There's lots of stuff out there that were completely false. But anyways, I had all those injuries, and I honestly, the doctor, so my family doctor's in Saskatoon, and I'm already in Saskatoon now. And he called my parents. This was a day after, so this would have been Sunday. So accident happened Friday. Friday it happened. Saturday I was in the hospital. And then Sunday my doctor called and was like, look, I went to the clinic. I went and looked at Caleb's reports. I was worried sick, and I know life is going to be so different for you guys. And my parents were like, yeah, we understand. But we understand life should be different. Like, you can't explain this tragedy. And he's like, no, I know for like everybody, but like for you guys especially, like I know Caleb isn't talking to you guys. And my parents were like, he was talking Friday night and Saturday, and like we told him Saturday morning about the accident. So I'll cut the story in half. They told me about the accident Saturday morning. And remember, this is still in the phase that I don't remember, but I was still with it. So both my parents asked, well, they asked how they should approach it with each other. They were thinking about it. They're like, we got to tell them before somebody tells them. So Saturday morning when I first woke up, they were like, you were in a serious accident. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't know why I'm in a hospital, but I must have got checked from behind last night at our game, and I don't remember it. And they were like, no, you didn't. And I was like, oh. So I didn't get checked from behind, but I'm wearing a neck brace right now, so I must have got, like, hit hard. And they were like, no. And I was like, well, did I get injured at sewer? Because we usually play sewer, and that's like where you keep the ball up type of game. And I was like, I must have got injured at sewer. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, we play in a small area in Nipawin, and if you do, like, back up too far, you will hit the rail and fall about 5 feet to the ground. So there is some worry there. And they're like, no, like, you were in a bus accident. And I was like, no, I wasn't. Like, I was not in a bus accident. Like, no, you were. And I was like, I kind of looked at myself and I was like, well, then where is everybody else? And then that moment was the hardest because they had explained to me who all passed away, and I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know who, what, when, where, why, how. I wanted to know everything. So that was a good 2-hour talk with me about what just happened. And so this is Saturday morning. I'm in this state that I don't remember. And I said to them, I'm going to live my life to the fullest for those people that didn't make the accident. And so, move back to the story. My doctor saw my scans, and he was like, I am so sorry. Like, I just don't understand. And so my parents were like, no, he's okay. Like, he's still with it. He still has his memory and all this. And this was before they knew I didn't remember this part. So anyways, the doctor came in to see me because he couldn't believe him. He was like, no, this isn't possible. There's no way this is Caleb. This can't happen. So he came to see me, and when he came and saw me, I said, hi, Dr. Likos, how you doing? And he just fell to the floor and started bawling. And my parents didn't know how to take it. And so he looked at my results, and he said that my results said that I shouldn't be able to remember my name. I shouldn't be walking. I shouldn't be talking. I shouldn't be even with it. I should be in a vegetative state and paralyzed from my neck down with the injuries that I had. And so for him to say that, that was kind of when it hit my parents how serious my injuries were and just how thankful and lucky I am to be in the situation that I'm in. And so on the 4th day, I woke up, and this is like when I wasn't in a coma or anything, like I was still with it and talking to people. But like I woke up and I actually felt kind of normal that day. And then it all happened over again. I looked down at myself. I looked around in the room, and I was like, how did we do last night? Did we win our game? And my parents were like, what do you mean? I was like, did we win our game last night? They're like, you didn't play. You were in the hospital last night. You knew this. Like, you were just talking to us yesterday about living your life. Like, what do you mean? I was like, did we win our game? Like, I know I'm injured. I must have got checked from behind. But did we win our game? And then that was when they were like, no way. Like, he doesn't remember what we just talked about. And they're like, are you messing with us or are you serious? I was like, did we win our game? That's all I want to know. I'm injured, obviously. Did we win our game? They're like, there was no game. So they had to go through the exact same steps to explain what happened, how it happened, who, what, when, where, why, how to me again. And I said, I'm dreaming. I don't believe this. This is 100% not real. Like, I am in a dream. So I started like to look around, and I remember even pinching myself because I was like, this isn't real. This is not real. So I pinched myself, and I was like, okay, I'm dreaming. So I closed my eyes and tried to go back to sleep, and I couldn't. And I was like, starting to like really feel myself. I was like, okay, like, this might be real. And so I was like, I still don't believe you guys. Like, I need proof. Like, give me my phone or something. Like, I need to see this. And so they gave me my phone, and at this time I had a brand new phone. I was like, well, this isn't my phone. And they're like, yeah, your phone didn't make it. And I was like, this isn't my phone. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I opened it up, and I was like, well, I won't have anything on it. They're like, no, you put it all in yesterday. I was like, what day are we even on? And they're like, well, this is day 4 after the accident. I was like, okay, whatever. So I hit Twitter, and I wanted to see what was up in the Twitter world. So the first thing I saw was hashtag Humboldt Strong. And I was like, okay. Scroll down, hashtag prayers for Humboldt. Kept scrolling, Humboldt Strong, Humboldt Strong, Humboldt Strong. And I just kind of put my phone down, and I was like, so this is a real thing, hey? And they're like, yeah. And so that was when it really kind of hit me. It hit me on the 4th day what actually all happened. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, I understand. This was like, I was in denial once again, but this time I didn't believe what had happened. And I honestly, I still didn't really believe it. I was like, okay, like I see the prayers for Humboldt thing, but like I need to go look at Instagram or something else. And like, is this even like me? Like, is this real? Like, this could be just a wicked dream, and I'm just like absolutely living in this dream. That's just crazy. So we looked at Instagram, and that was when I had my profile was blocked at the time, and I had 1,000+ requests, and that's where it stopped. I was like, okay, this is weird. So I went and looked at like some photos I was tagged in, and they were like, I hope you're okay, wishing you the best, or I hope to God you're alive, Kaleb. And then there's tons and tons of comments. I was like, yeah, this is big. And I didn't really realize how big this was. So in this 4-day phase, I told my parents on the 2nd day, so on Sunday, I told them to message the schools because I had lots of schools talking to me at that time. And I was already previously verbally committed to York, but I had never signed my letter of intent yet. And it wasn't out to the public because we wanted to wait until after playoffs. So I was already previously committed to York, which is a youth sports team here in Toronto. And I said, like, you got to email York and tell them that I want to come back and play for them next year. And my parents were like, no, they know, Kaleb. I was like, no, you've got to tell them that I'm coming back and playing for them next year. And they're like, no, they know. And I was like, no, like, I don't think they know, and you've got to tell them. So I made them log into my email address, send York University a message saying, I'm sorry I couldn't get back to you. I want to let you know that I'm going to play my heart out for those people that can't, and that I'll be there next year. This was before they knew how severe my injuries were. This was before I even knew about my injuries. This is before I even knew about the accident and kind of grasped it. And so I forced them to send it. And I had lots of other emails from schools too, because it wasn't announced that I was committed and there was no letter of intent. So I was still able to talk to schools, but I was already enrolled into York University in February. So it was already like kind of a given that I was going to be going there. And I already verbally committed to it. Anyways, so they responded to all those emails. And then after that, they just couldn't understand how I said, I want to live my life to the fullest at that time, like the Saturday. And then when they explained it to me on the Monday, once I finally kind of grasped everything, I still said the exact same thing. I was like, look, I'm going to live my life to the fullest for them and do whatever I can. If that means me playing hockey, I want to, and I would die to play hockey for them. But if I can't, then I'm just going to make myself have the best life and the most happy life for them. And that was my goal forever in life before this, but now even meant that much more. And so I didn't really realize how big it was in the world. And so I'll give you a little story about just how many people it touched. So I'm in the hospital, and this is the fourth day. A lot happened in these 4 days, eh? So this is the fourth day, and I convinced my physiotherapist to let me go to physio. And that was like one of the big things, the huge no-no, because the first day I was only allowed to sit in a chair for 15 minutes. The second day I was only allowed to, I wasn't even allowed to walk the second day. But I ended up walking to the bathroom, ripped out my catheter, went and took a pee in the bathroom in the hospital because I was just sick of it. And then I had to help get my dad to help me get back onto the bed after. But I was able to walk myself. And they were telling me all these things that I couldn't do, but I was like, no, I can do it. So anyways, fourth day, I go to physio, and it's super minor physio. I ended up wearing slippers. I wish I had a picture for you guys, but I ended up wearing slippers that day to my physio. And that was all I really had was slippers. I had shoes at home, but my parents hadn't left the hospital since. And my billets brought my slippers because they thought my feet would be cold from Humboldt when they came and visited me. So went to physio in slippers, and they just couldn't get over how determined I was to get better. And that was one of the big things, was just how determined I was. So on my way to physio, our whole section in the hospital was blocked off by security. There was tons and tons and tons and tons of people wanting to come see you, media, all of this stuff involved. And so this lady was like, the security guard was like to me, where are you off to? And I was like, physio. She's like, okay. There's a family from Iraq here that wants to meet a Bronco. Do you want to meet them? I was like, sure, I am on my way. It's literally on my way to physio. I'll say hi to them. It'll only be like 5 minutes. So she was like, okay, yeah, and I'll come with you, and I'll make it 5 minutes. I'm not going to make this long. Like, they won't, like, been begging to meet a Bronco. I was like, okay, yeah. So I ended up walking and introducing myself to them, and they just started fangirling. And I was like, wait, why are you fangirling me? Like, when they're like, oh my God, like, that kind of stuff. If you know what I mean, you guys understand? Kind of get where I'm at. So they're fangirling, and I was like, whoa, like, I'm a normal dude, like, it's okay. And they were like, we were sent from our family to come to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, to meet a Humboldt Bronco. I was like, well, like, where are you guys from? And she was like, Iraq. I was like, you live in Iraq right now? They're like, yeah. We had to come to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to meet a Bronco for our family. I was like, oh my goodness. It hit Iraq. Like, you see all over Instagram, Twitter, how it went across our globe, literally, like to Europe. People put their sticks out. The support was absolutely amazing. The NHL had tons of tributes. Like CHL, like junior, midget, like it goes all the way down. Like the hockey world was insane. And even people outside the hockey world was still insane with the support. And so this family in Iraq wanted a picture with a Bronco. So I ended up taking a picture with them, and I was like, awesome, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and you coming to meet a Bronco. And they're like, no, thank you. Like, our family's going to appreciate this so much. We just had to come and meet a Bronco. So on my way down to physio, I was like kind of reflecting, and I was like, Iraq? Like, did I just meet a family from Iraq in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, because they wanted to meet a Bronco? I was like, I didn't even know this would reach Iraq. Like, I thought, Europe, yeah, makes sense. Hockey is quite popular there. But hockey in Iraq is not a popular sport. And I don't even know if they even have hockey, to be honest. I haven't looked that up. Someone might know, but I have no clue. And so for them to hear that story was something absolutely impressive. And I just couldn't get over that. So after that, I ended up being in the hospital for 21 days. I got transported to the city hospital at, I want to say, day 13. Yeah, so it was the weird seat 13 crew. So yeah, day 13 got transferred and was in City Hospital for not too long. And then I got out of the hospital. And the one thing that I really wanted was to go back to Humboldt. And I know most people are probably like, what? Why would you want to go back to Humboldt? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, who here thinks that's weird to go back to Humboldt? Raise your hand. Wow. Okay. Good. Good for you guys. So I wanted, like, when I was in the hospital, I said, first thing I'm doing is going back to Humboldt. And so I went back to Humboldt, and the community itself was absolutely heartbroken. They were all heartbroken, and like you could feel it. Like the second you walked in the town, when I first got there, it was like lively. Everybody was go friendly, super nice. And then when you get into the town now, it felt like there's a dark gloom over that town. And so I ended up going back to certain places. I'll talk about it a little later on, but just lost people I connected with, and I just wanted to let them know, you know what, it's okay. I'm okay, and we're gonna heal through this together. This isn't just gonna be my healing process; it's gonna be our healing process. And so that was one of the big things I wanted to do. And with my injuries, I'm trying to give you a little bit of a glimpse. I had to go to physio, and I went 2 hours a day for physio. I had to have an afternoon nap for 2 hours a day, and I had to go to bed at 9 or 10, and then wake up at like 9 or 10. So try to get 12 hours of sleep at night and have a midday nap. So my days were quite condensed because I had physio for 2 hours. And then after my physio, I had to go home and do more exercises for another hour. And so my days were super condensed, and there's tons of people that would still want to see me. So it was quite chaotic. And when I was doing testing in the hospital, and even after, I was breaking records for just how much recovery I've had made. And for the certain tests they were designing for normal people, I was breaking records even for average people. Like one was a reaction test. So I had a broken neck and back, and you have to touch these little things, like little lights, they light up, you have to touch them. I'm sure you guys have seen those. I ended up breaking the record in the hospital. They had normal people, like they had even one of the athletic therapists at the hospital try the test, and I ended up beating the record for that person. So I was super, super lucky with my injuries. And I was told by the doctors that I shouldn't be going to school, I shouldn't be skating, and I can start skating in June, but school should be a write-off, and I should take this year completely off of academics because my ability in school would be quite substantially lower than it was before. And so I was always try hard in school, and I think that's a good thing. For all you people out there that think it's a bad thing, you're completely wrong. I think you should try hard in school because it's your education, and you have that with you for the rest of your life. Sports you might not have, but education you will. And so I was always try hard in school, and they were like, I don't think you're going to succeed like you did in high school. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So that's how I ended up to where I'm at right now. I'm at York University on the men's hockey team, and I ended up practicing and working out. Thank you. But yeah, I'm on the York University men's hockey team. I'm practicing and working out with them. And one thing that really touches me about York University, and the whole reason why I committed to them before and I wanted to come back so badly afterwards, was like Mark Cross was a huge mentor in my life, and he was the assistant coach on the Humboldt team last year. He went to York University for 5 years and was assistant captain 3 of those years. And when he was like selling me on the program at the start of the year and saying like, York is an unbelievable school, like you should go, great hockey program, great team, great time, and great athletics, great academics. It had everything I was looking for. And so he passed away in the accident. And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to not go to school. I am for sure going to school, and I want to honor Mark in everything that I do at that school. I want to try following his footsteps and create my own path too, but by following his footsteps, it would be an unbelievable path, because that guy was considered the legend at school for a better lack of word, legend, because he excelled on the ice, but also off ice. He was academically inclined and athletically inclined. He tried to make everyone feel special, and it wasn't just about him. He wanted to make the whole university better before himself. And so that was kind of my driving force and why I wanted to go to York, even before the accident, and then especially after the accident, was because of Mark Cross. So many people have commented, like, why are you so positive? And how are you like this? Like, this isn't normal. Like, we've seen you over places, we've heard some things about you, but why are you so positive? You've lost 16 people who you consider family. And once again, I'm an only child, so I literally consider them my family. Like, they're my brothers, my sisters. They are my family. You're with them every day, all year. We had even team bonding outside of our rink time and workout times. We'd have Bachelor Mondays, Riverdale Thursdays. It was, and like, not just like 4 people show up. It was, I think, 15 guys. The most that we had for Bachelor Mondays was 18. So that's like majority of the team. 18 guys at our house. And then for Riverdale, there's 14. So that was the most that we had of both. And I think that just shows how tight of a team we were and why it struck so many people. It's just how tight of a team we were. So people are probably wondering, like, why are you like the way that you are? And I think the funny thing is there's nothing different than me or you guys sitting here today. There's nothing. There's nothing different. But I think the biggest thing that people tend to forget is the mental side of life. I think you're all no different than me. And yeah, I might be shorter, whatever. Come at me. Come with me, short jokes. I'm ready for them. But I might be shorter, a little heftier. But in the long run, we're all the same. We all have the same capacity. We have 24 hours in one day. And what we do with those hours are crucial to ourselves. And so I believe the difference maker is right up here. And even in your heart too. But I think more than anything, it's up in here. And so here are some values and beliefs that I try to live by, and this is kind of my perception on life and my perception on the accident, my perception on diabetes. So I really didn't go into detail about how I think about things. It was more about other people. So I'm going to go kind of in detail of what I think. So I wrote down a list of just a few things that I try to live by. And one of them is focus on the things that you can control. And many people are like, what's that? Like, focus on the things you can control. Well, I'll explain right now then. So the things that you can control, I wrote down a little list. There's many more, but just so I'll get you thinking. Because my whole goal today is get you thinking on life and ways that you deal with certain situations. So this includes your attitude, work ethic, effort, your feelings, your actions, beliefs, the way you treat others, goals, what you intake, your habits, emotions, thoughts, who you spend time with, and what you've got to say or talk about. So let me just kind of give you a perspective here. So you can control your attitude. So you can come in or even better, you wake up in the morning, you open up your blinds, and you're like, wow, it's bad weather out there. It's going to be a bad day. Some of you guys might not do that, but I know one or a couple times you'll see that and you're like, oh, look at it, it's snowing. I don't want to go to school. Right? Am I right? Yeah. So that's your attitude, but you can control that. You can wake up every morning and be like, you know what? I'm thankful to even be here right now. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to make this day a great one. Not, oh, look at the weather. And what do you think that is? Is that a positive or negative? So the weather is actually something you can't control. So wasting your emotion, your feelings, and time on that is pointless. So the things that you can't control, weather, other people, tragic events that happen in your life, your coworkers, the family that you were born into, traffic, even death, growing old, the past or the future, and getting a disease or illness, etc. Like the list goes on. But these are things that you cannot control. So for me, being diagnosed at 4 years old with type 1 diabetes, I can't control that, but I can control how I react to that. And so for me, I decided to take the positive approach to it. And some people might use diabetes as a negative and be like, oh, well, I can't do this because of my diabetes. Or they might even use it as a crutch, be like, well, I shouldn't work out today because my diabetes and my levels have been a little wonky. So I probably shouldn't work out because I don't want to affect my diabetes more. And I think that's so wrong to use that as a reason for you to not succeed. We are thrown many challenges in our life, and how you intake it and how you focus on it, it makes a difference. For me, with the Broncos accident, I can't control that I was in a bus accident. I can't control that I lost 16 people that I consider my family. I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could literally just flip a switch and turn it around. But for me, I'm just thankful that I even had them in my life. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to get to know those people on that bus. Because life, we run by so many people. We pass people every day. You walk by a person and you might just say hi and then carry on with your life, or you might even just smile at them or not even acknowledge them. But they could be your best friend later on down the road and you wouldn't even know it. And so I'm thankful that I even had the opportunity to be with them. And I can't control accidents, so I have to accept it the way that it is. And you can either do two things. You can either turn it into a positive or turn it into a negative. And so I've tried to decide to go the positive route, and that's basically why I'm here today. Because I want to inspire you guys and let you know that there are two roads to everything. There's either a positive road or a negative road. And going down the negative road isn't going to get you far in life. It honestly might get you bad habits, which is stuff that you can control. It might end up with the wrong crowd, or you may even have issues in school. But I think the positive road is a lot brighter one and can help you with the future. And so we spend way too much time focusing on our things that we can't control, and it lets us eat us up. Like, it gives you your emotions, your energy, your time, and things that we can't control. How many times in your life have you been worried about other people? Raise your hand, please. We're all guilty of it. We are all guilty of focusing on other people. You know what? The best thing about it is you can't control other people. You can influence them. You can give them your opinion, but at the end of the day, you can't control them. For example, I got cut from the hockey team because of my diabetes. I can't control that person, but I can control how I take it and how I react and use it. And I could either let it belittle me and use it negatively, or I could be like, you know what? I'm going to prove this person wrong. I'm going to go that much harder in the gym, that much harder off ice, work on my shot that much more, work on my stick handling that much more, so that when I do end up seeing him in the future, he regrets his decision. And so I think it's all about the mindset. So on to the next thing is you control how you react and feel. I touched on it, but I'm going to go a little more in depth, because every event that happens in life does not come with emotion. You attach emotion to an event. So, an example, I'll go a little off topic here. I ended up getting the worst mark ever on my essay writing abilities. I got a 65, which is the worst mark I've ever got in my life. And like I said, I'm try hard in school. I'm a nerd, I get it, but it's okay. So I took two approaches. One was like, whoa, okay, this sucks. Like, why me? Why is this? Or another one was like, I'm going to learn from this. What did I do wrong? So our teacher has office hours. I went to our teacher's office, and I was like, look, I'm not asking for a better mark. I just want to know where I went wrong and what can I do better. So the big thing about my essay was that I actually should have had an 85 on my essay, but since I included residential schools in it, I got 20 marks off, 20% off of my essay. And so for people in Saskatchewan, I took a risk and I was relating residential schools to a medical model of physical disability. Lots of jam-packed stuff, but anyways, in Saskatchewan, I would have been like considered unbelievable. That's unbelievable how you combine those two, because it was more affected in Saskatchewan. But in Toronto, they just view it as a negative thing, and that it's not something to be talked about at all. And so that's how I lost 20% of my mark. So I said, okay, I understand. I'm not asking for any extra marks. I just want to know what was wrong. And so I took the positive approach in that. I could have been negative, been like, oh, screw this, throw my essay to the side. Why am I even in school? But you know what? I think you got to learn from your mistakes and learn from the things in your kind of life. So you can control how you react and feel. The next thing is live with no regrets. Live life to the fullest and make the most of it. And like for me, last season was a prime example of me living my life to the fullest. I absolutely loved everybody on that team, and we were so tight. We always spent time with each other, and I'd always have lived life to the fullest just because I know how fast it can be gone. And so ended up being gone. And I'm just thankful that I was able to live my life to the fullest with those people and make the most of it. Because you can either sit at home and just hang out, play Fortnite. I know you guys are into Fortnite for sure. Yeah. No? Okay, yeah, right. That's a lie. But I know it's a huge game. And I think being with another person is something so special. Yeah, you're online and you're gaming with them, but being face-to-face and having face-to-face interactions is not normal now. We have Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, gaming, and we don't even spend time with people. Yeah, we're talking on the microphone like this. Hey, how's your day going? But like, are you really spending time with them? Are you really getting that emotional face-to-face connection? No, you're getting it through a headphone, and you're playing your video game and sitting on your couch downstairs hanging out. And I think you could sit on your couch downstairs and hang out and play a game of cards, or talk about something other than gaming. Maybe talk about what your thoughts are on your future. What do you want out of life? Not, oh, I want to get number one in Fortnite. Like, actually have those talks, because your life is going to flash by real fast. And right now, you guys are at a great time in your life where you need to start thinking about other things, your future, and things that you want out of life, not just, oh, I had a great day today at school. You learn anything? No. No. But I had a good time. Like, actually try to grasp some things in and learn from this world, because you're not here for a long time. I think you got to make the most of it and enjoy every little second that you have. One thing I put on my hockey stick, you might have seen in the video, is a plus sign over a negative sign. And that is the positive over negative. I've always lived my life that way. I find that a lot of people fall into the trap of getting into the negative aspect of life. There's two roads. There's the positive road, or there's the negative road. And you can go down both. It's up to you. You make that decision yourself. But I think being in the positive road is a lot better than the negative road. And for the Humboldt accident, I wanted to make that the positive. I wanted to say, you know what, people, like, I'm here healing with you. I want to be on your side. I want you to help me. This is a two-way street. This isn't just me on my own, never going to talk about it again, and trying to move on. Like, I want to talk about it. I want to let people know that it was something special last year, and it was a great time, and that I am trying to live my life positively by honoring those people and everything I do. And the next thing is I only have 2 more or 3 more after this, so bear with me, please. Enjoy the grind and take action for your passion. And you know what? This might sound a little cliche, but in the grind, everybody has their own grind. If it's work, school, hockey, life. Prime example, right now, Dan and his leg. He has a grind with his leg that was not expected. This was nothing, this was not normal. This was an event that just randomly happened. And you know what? You got to enjoy that grind, because a lot of people get lost and they aren't enjoying it. They're spending time trying to get all that they can out of it negatively. And everybody has their own grind. Everyone's dealing with their own type of thing, whether it's mental, physical, emotional. You have your own thing, and you got to enjoy it and embrace it. You don't want to push it to the side and just let it sit there. Example for the accident. If I pushed it to the side and I didn't talk about how I felt or my feelings, how do you think that would make me feel future down the road? I ended up going on a bus I think a week after I got out of the hospital, I went on a bus. And some guys still can't go on a bus to this day. And I'm not saying two things are right or wrong, but I'm just saying that you sometimes have to face your fears head on and just go for it. And so that's taking action for your passion. And I kind of came up with that slogan when I was younger, and my parents thought it was just really stupid of me to do it. But they were like, why are you talking about taking action for your passion? And I kind of explained to them, they're like, oh, that makes sense. And the reason why I say take action for your passion is if you want something, like go out there and get it. The world is yours to take. You have ample opportunities. You can connect with people. Even if our world is so connection-based today, you could follow somebody on Instagram and see a cool story and be like, wow, I want to do that. Or you could even try messaging somebody. I responded to all my messages on Instagram. I haven't looked recently, but I wanted to thank everybody for their support. And that's me taking action for my passion because I want to let people know that their support meant that much to me. And I really do appreciate it. Next one is treat others how you'd like to be treated and surround yourself with positive influences. So, who remembers a person that they've had in their life that is gone now, but treated you extremely well? Yeah? Anyone remember that? Do you remember what they did or didn't do? Or do you remember how they made you feel? And I think it's how they made you feel. Like I can remember I lost my personal trainer when I was younger. I was 12, and he was such an influential person in my life. I trained with him for 2 years, and I absolutely adored him. He would come pick me up when I was 12 from my home, when I was home alone, take me to my workout across the city, and drive me back home after my workout. Because he was that invested in making me a better person and hockey player. And on those car rides that we'd talk about life. It wasn't, oh, how's your Twitter world going today? Or me with my head buried in my phone like this, staring down. We talked about life, things that I wanted out of life, things that he wanted out of life, struggles that we had. And I think that I remember those things. It wasn't, remember how he made me feel. It wasn't the certain workout that we did or the certain time that I couldn't feel my legs. It was how he made me feel as a person. And so I think that's such a big thing that you can do for other people is just even something simple as holding the door open for someone. They are carrying tons of bags, hockey equipment, and pucks, and you just hold that door open for an extra 5 seconds out of your life to let them walk through. Helping an elderly lady bring groceries to her vehicle. Have you guys ever seen an elderly lady carrying groceries like this? Yeah, I have. And this isn't nice. And you should just go and help her. She shouldn't have to worry about carrying groceries and struggling with that. You should just go and do it. You're an able-bodied person. You're all here playing hockey, so you're obviously able to carry some groceries to the vehicle. It's not that hard. Another thing that I always try to do and live by is tell people who I love that I love them every day or as often as possible. I think lots of us get lost in school, life, work, family, friends, but we go to bed at night, we might not wake up the next morning. And you might not tell that person what you felt to them. And then when you leave this earth, they don't know what you thought of them. And can you imagine not telling that person that you don't love them? And I almost lost my dad when I was 16 years old. I was moved away from home. I was dealing with type 1 diabetes, school, athletics, and my dad ended up getting in a really severe car accident. And I was told, while I was in North Battleford, which is an hour away from my home, that he might only have 3 days to live. And I had 2 games that weekend, and I only had 1 day to see him. And I was like, holy. My dad, might pass away, and my dad is one of the most influential person, if not the most influential person in my life, him and my mom. Since I'm an only child, I've spent lots of my time with my parents. And that one was so hard on me emotionally and mentally that I didn't know what to do. So I ended up playing the games, and I scored both goal. I scored the game winner in the one game. Then the other game, I scored the game tying goal. And then I went to the hospital that night and spent the full day after with him. And he ended up making it through. But that was the worst moment of my life from that point on. I really don't care about my diabetes or anything like that. But I just wanted to know that I loved him and that I played my games for him. And I will for the rest of my life, and I have. And so a lot of people don't really understand that until it actually happens to them. You can see people talking about it and be like, okay, yeah, okay. But like if until it happens to you, that's when you kind of really understand and grasp that concept. And so for me, that was a turning point in my life that made me mature immensely. Like immensely. Can you imagine being away from home? You're 16 and you're told your dad's gonna live for 3 days. Like that was something that I'll remember for the rest of my life, and that made me, I think, a better man because of it. And the last thing is giving back fuels the soul. And I'm a firm believer in giving back to people and helping the less fortunate. And I think this, honestly, our generation today doesn't do it enough. We would rather spend more time taking a photo for Instagram than we would try and go to a food bank for half an hour. Or we'd rather go and check out our Twitter feed and play Fortnite or whatever gaming system, since you're not about Fortnite over here, whatever you'd like to do. Instead of giving back and trying to help somebody else's life. And I think that's honestly silly and selfish in a way. And I don't play any video games anymore because I want to give back. And yeah, video games are great. I recommend them if you want to cut off some steam with it. That's perfectly cool. But just even if you take out half an hour of that a week and devote it to something bigger than yourself, it'll make a huge difference in your life. In Humboldt, I was involved in many things. Dahlgren's diabetes, already touched on. Elementary school, was volunteering at elementary school for 3 hours every Wednesday. Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, because I'm a national ambassador, had presentations across Saskatchewan and would do that. Floor hockey, so there's called a Special Olympics floor hockey team in Humboldt. And they even call it handy hockey. I don't even call it that, but they call it handy hockey. And it's just handicapped hockey. And so we'd go every Monday, and there was a group of us, Logan Boulay. You guys might have heard of the Logan Boulay effect. And Tyler Smith and myself would go, and we would just eat it up. They would help us more than it would help them. And these guys are trash talking, telling us that we suck, and they're sticking us in the leg. And it's pretty ruthless because you're only wearing gloves, and we didn't even wear gloves. They wore gloves, helmet, shin pads, elbow pads, shoes. Like they had equipment on, but we didn't. And we're just getting two-handed in the shins. And it was an aggressive game, but it was so fun. And I ended up, the first time we went was in September. And I was talking to one of the guys, and his name is Dallas. I probably shouldn't give away names, so his name is Robert, sorry. But anyways, him and a few other guys would go to our hockey games, and they would bike to our games every year. And this was my first time I was in Humboldt. I just got traded to Humboldt, and I'm just learning this now. And so they would go to our games, and they'd bike there, and then bike back home after. Or they would walk there and then walk back home after. And they lived on the opposite side of town. And the town isn't that big, but it's still quite a hike. It's pretty far. I'd say a good 4 to 5K walk. So it was quite far. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, we get free tickets and we get bus to the game, but the bus doesn't get there until 10 minutes into the game, and it leaves with about 10 to 5 minutes left in the game because people have to go home early and there's late nights and they can't be out for that long. So I kind of thought to myself, I was like, well, I'll just pick you guys up. Like, there's 4 of you, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, I'll pick you up every home game that we have, take you to our game. If you're okay with being there at 4:45, 5 o'clock for a 7:30 game, then I'll do that. I'm fine with taking you guys home and bringing you to the game and taking you back and all that. I'm like, you have to wait for me after the game, though, too, about half an hour or so. And they all couldn't believe it. They're like, are you serious? I was like, well, yeah. Like, why wouldn't I? If you guys want to watch the game and you are so devoted that you'll leave your house early and walk in the minus 30 weather to our game after, I'll take you home. And they're like, okay. And so I call them the taxi crew because they're always like, hey, taxi, when are you coming to pick us up? But I've created such great bonds with them, and I'm going to actually one of their weddings this summer. One of them is having a wedding this summer, and so I get to go to his wedding. And the bond I created with that group is unbelievable, and I'm just so thankful to have them in my life. And I also ended up running the Humboldt Rec Hockey Camp, and this is a camp for children that are less fortunate that can't really pursue their dreams of playing hockey at a high level. And so they either can't afford it, they don't have enough time, or they don't have the gear. And so this program was ran actually by Mark Cross at the start. We were co-running it, and then at the end, Mark was like, you know what, just take it over. It came to Jeremy, he's like, you do a better job than I do, and the kids want you more than me, so just go and do it. And so I think giving back is something that so many people really don't understand and don't even know where to start. But you know what? Find something you're passionate about. My thing that I'm passionate about is making a difference in people's lives. So that can be anything. But find something you're passionate about. If it's type 1 diabetic research, if it's cancer, something affecting your family or yourself, mental health, go and help out and give back. Because I think that's something that we should all do and not take for granted. And so I'll kind of finish off with just right now. Right now, in my recovery, everything's healed except my brain. That's the only thing left that has to heal for me. And I'm not clear for contact, but I am practicing working out with our team. I have... Thanks. Thanks. Right now, but like, I am succeeding in school and doing very well in that. The doctors still can't believe. I've been told by, I think, it's got to be 6 doctors now that I'm a miracle. But you know what? I just want to live my life to the fullest and make the most of what I have. Life can end tomorrow for me, but as long as I make an impact on this world today, that's all that matters to me. So thank you very much for taking your time to listen. I appreciate it.
Let's hear it for Kaleb, guys.
Thank you.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
So when Kaleb, when we agreed he was going to come, and he was asking, you know, like, kind of what's the context and what's the room going to be like, and so Kaleb said this is, and I didn't find this out till about a week and a half ago. He said this will be the first time that I'm actually doing like a public speaking thing like this. So how do you think he did for his first time up? And you know, I said it when I came in here on Sunday, and any of the guys that know me, I think I live by this, is that, you know, Kaleb is up here just sharing, right? And there's a few things when he told me his story that stood out to me, is like that just innately his character, even though his brain wasn't functioning, but he's out there in a t-shirt and is like seriously injured. And his first comment to a first responder is, no, we got to take care of those guys. And remember I said to you yesterday, like, imagine how amazing your team would be if you were committed to helping the guy beside you make his dreams happen. Like, imagine if every guy in the room lived by that credo, how successful you'd be as a team and as individuals. And so when I, you know, we've talked, I don't know, a dozen times now, first through text and phone, and we met. And when we had Kaleb come on the ice and we shot that piece, it was like all of us. Like when Kaleb put the skates on, it was like a 6-year-old kid on the ice for the first time. And he's buzzing around, and he's ripping shots, and he's playing with the puck. And he's like, oh, man, this feels so good to be on the ice. I haven't been on the ice for a couple weeks. Just like all of us. And he's in that zone, and you can hear by Kaleb's story, how much, it's not just about what he does, it's who he is, right? That's the difference. It's like you can go and do something, but when you become that person, it just becomes innately who you are. And that's what we try and do. And so these boards around the room, Kaleb, this is the Pillars of Greatness program. Okay. And so we're working with the guys this week, and we divide their life into 5 sections. And what we ask them to do every day is to look closely at each one of those sections and how can they step up and outperform themselves yesterday, or find the weaknesses, the blind spots that they're not paying attention to in those areas. And so you talked a lot about giving back. That obviously falls in the service part. So the goal is there's each board represents a team, and each guy is doing their own work. And so each day they get up, and let's say they give themselves a 5 out of 10 in service. Let's say they took the bag of groceries from the old lady and they held the door for someone going into Starbucks. Let's say they give themselves arbitrarily a 6 out of 10 that day. They'll come in and they'll color in 6 little squares. And that's their impact, but the impact globally or on their team. And then by the end of the week, we're going to see how complete or incomplete that wheel is individually, but in this context, as it relates to your team. And so hearing you talk, I'm at the back of the room, and it's like, man, it's just reinforcing what we're talking about. It's reinforcing what this Junior Showcase brand is about, and it reinforces why I do, and Kevin and all the support people that are here, why we do what we do. So, man, I was stoked that you were coming. And then listening to you talk and hearing what you said, man, it's like I said to these guys, this will be the most profound speaker we've had. And without question, man, you totally knocked it out of the park, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And I want to give one more thanks. So you made reference to Ethan Martin. So Ethan, if you can stand up. Ethan Martins is a type 1 diabetic. How old were you when diagnosed? 9. And so Ethan started training with us, 6-7 months ago. And I met his mom, Brenda. If you can stand up. Brenda's been here all week helping. Big round of applause for Brenda. And Brenda said to me, oh, would you, this diabetic thing, would you like to meet Kaleb? And I'm always like, yeah, if there's something that can push this message forward. And that's how this whole thing came to pass. So without Ethan and without Brenda, then the connection wouldn't have been made, and there's a pretty good chance that you wouldn't be here. So big round of applause to Ethan and to Brenda for your support. Let's get into some Q&A. Some questions and answers. So I got a couple. I got one thing. So you told me the story, which I thought was freaking hilarious. How many of you guys have gone on the NHL Network and watched when Kaleb and his entire, the remaining members of his team, with the exception, I think, 1 or 2 that were still in the hospital, when they went to the NHL Awards last year, and Darcy, their coach, was given the Willie O'Ree Award. Anybody go on the NHL Network or on YouTube and watch it? If you haven't, go and watch it. Like tonight, it's freaking hilarious. And Steve at the back of the room there, who's filming, everybody take a look at Steve. He actually filmed that, right? It's kind of cool how worlds come together. And when I talked to Steve about Kaleb, and he goes, oh, I know Kaleb. He goes, I did all this filming stuff. And then when Kaleb was like, well, who's going to film me? I'm like, well, you already know the guy. And so symbiotically, we already had this cool connection. When you told me his story about when you were going through this time where you were being a little more outspoken than you normally are.
Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau is one guy in particular, but he reached out to you. And so tell the guys a little bit about what that conversation was like.
Yeah, so this was in my 4-day phase, and I wasn't myself. I was kind of more of a chirpy kind of guy, I'd say, and a little out there. So Johnny Gaudreau ended up FaceTiming me in the hospital, and he's like, oh, hey, I'm so sorry. And it was him and Mark Giordano, pretty amazing dudes. Giordano right now is lighting it up. Same with Gaudreau, sorry. So I'm talking to them, and I'm like, you know what? You're kind of short. And he was just like, what? I was like, look, I get it. I'm a little bit taller than you, maybe by an inch, but you're a short guy. And then they were like, what team are you even cheering for? Flames or Oilers? I was like, I used to be a Flames fan when I was younger, but you guys were super bad last year. I like McDavid. He's pretty sweet. Maybe the Oilers? Actually, not maybe. I think the Oilers for sure. And then they were just like, what? Come on. I was like, well, Gaudreau, you're good, but, you're pretty short. And like this is literally the same thing that I've been told my entire life is that I'm short and all of this stuff. And so for me to be, I guess, gouging Goudreau, and then like Crosby decided to send us a jersey and picture and sign all that. And I was like, Crosby, yeah, I don't really like Crosby. I was like, Goudreau's better than Crosby. And so everybody that knew the Goudreau story started laughing at that, being like, well, then Crosby must be really bad. But yeah, the NHL awards, Steven and I met up, and he was awesome. It was a great time there, and I met amazing people. And I'll give you a funny story too. So if you do watch the speech for the just thanking the fan, the whole world, honestly, there was a standing ovation going on. And so the first day we practiced the speech. I didn't even have my glasses, and my vision isn't the best, I realized. And so I was trying to read the teleprompter, and I actually couldn't read it, so I was squinting like this. I had to borrow one of my teammates' glasses, so we went through a rundown. I was able to read it, and it was all good. So the teleprompter's at like the very back, right by like the camera, like right underneath the camera. And so like you're able to look at the camera. It looks like you're looking at the camera, but you're actually reading off the teleprompter. And so we go to the awards. I'm ready to go. I'm all jacked up. I'm like, I might as well read over my speech once more just because. But it'll be on the teleprompter, so I'm fine. So I ended up reading over the speech. And Dan, I don't even think, knows this story. So I ended up reading over the speech. And I was all prepared. We're backstage, and the video comes on. And it was super emotional for all of us. I had to try to hold it together as I'm the one that's going to be on the mic. And so I go up, and I'm standing at the front. I look out, and I can't see the teleprompter. I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm wearing my glasses. But since there was a standing ovation, they put literally the tallest people there. Pekka Rinne was right in front of the teleprompter. So I couldn't even see the teleprompter. And I was like, well, this is going to be a fun speech then. Like millions of people watching this, and Pekka Rinne is blocking this teleprompter. And like, I don't even know who else. I think there was one more very, very tall guy. I think maybe Matthews or somebody was there, and he was super tall too. And I was like, they're right beside each other, and I can't even see this teleprompter. I was like, well, I'm going to wing this speech. So I winged the speech. So if you do watch it, just know it was from the heart. So.
Beautiful. Awesome. That's a good story. And you chirped Pekka Rinne pretty well about his blue suit when you guys were getting ready to go on for the awards too, didn't you? Wasn't it him?
Whose suit was this?
Wasn't it Pekka Rinne that came over? He had his light blue suit on.
He was looking like an absolute bombshell though. Like he was like, "Oh, I like my suit." And he's like trying to brag it up. You're like, "Yeah, it's custom and all this stuff." I'm just like, "Yeah, it's nice. Like it's pretty bright." And then the other guys were like, "Yeah, it's a super bright suit." And he's like, "You ought to stand out." And we're just like, "Okay." But yeah. He was looking sharp, and he was brightening it up, so it was pretty funny.
That's awesome. That's good. Those are funny stories. Okay, who do we have? Questions we have from the floor? Yeah. So stand up. Introduce yourself, please. Where are you from? Okay, you should wear an Oakville zip-up thing. Oh, okay, good.
I was skating June 1st, and so the doctors recommended me skating first before I ran because it's way more smooth. And so my physio and doctors were like, yeah, you're fine to go on the ice. It's a lot more smooth, and you don't, even jogging too, because jogging you're like up and down, but skating you're just more smooth, your head's not bouncing. It's just like walking, and it's second nature for all of us in here. So yeah, they were fine with that.
Awesome, good question. Joe, how are you? Good. Guys, you remember Joe from SAT training?
We have a group chat, and we talk in it probably weekly, I'd say. Weekly, there's something going on. And we'll just talk about life and what's going on in our life, what we're busy with, what we're not busy with, stresses in our life. I know lots of guys still aren't okay with talking in front of people or talking to the public, and I completely support them and all that. And I think everybody heals differently. And so for us to still have a group chat and support each other is something huge, and I think that helps for everyone.
Yeah, and I think that's such a powerful demonstration to the brotherhood or to the family you talked about, right? And how important that is. When Kaleb came, we did a little podcast, we did a little interview when he was in here. And the first thing I said to him before we did it, I said, "Is there anything that's off limits? Like, is there anything that you don't want to talk about? Is there media that you don't want to have in the room? Like what is it? And he's like, no, man. He goes, he goes, this is important to me to be able to share what my experience was like, what I've taken from it, and how I'm moving on. And you can see now. I mean, there's not much that Kaleb held back on in terms of what that moment was like and the experience. And we all saw it, right? How many guys had sticks out by their door? Still there. Jeez. Right? And like, those are the things, like when I put my stick out, I live in a condo. And so I got a guy on my condo board, and he's kind of a fan or whatever, and I guess he gets the story, but it's kind of like, yeah, but Dan, that doesn't match the decor of the building, right? I got this old wood Sherwood stick out by my door, and I'm like, but it's not for the decor. It's for these guys. And I had met Kaleb at that point. And I think we all did it for that reason, right? It was just to be like, to see it online. Like, I remember the first time I saw it online and how emotional I got. I'm like, oh my God, like, because this is what we're a part of as a community. We're all in it together. We may never, ever meet each other. Kaleb talks about paying it forward. You may do something for someone who then in turn does something for someone else, and you never get to meet the third generation of who you impacted, but it's happening. It's happening. You don't know, but it's happening. And that's the magic. Like, you didn't know, you couldn't see all the sticks, but I'm sure when you're scrolling through Twitter or when guys are talking about, like, man, the family from Iraq, and you're like, man, this is the power, this is the impact, not only that the crashes had, but the impact of the support back to us.
Yeah, and like, even on the accident, I said I was wearing 2 coats, and the fact that I wasn't wearing any coats meant that I must have gave my coats to somebody. So that right there just shows how tight our team was. And then you look into the world, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're giving us our coats, they're helping us, they're lending a hand whenever we need, and the support has just been absolutely phenomenal. I'm thankful for it, because I think it helps me in the healing process. And by me doing this and like me being out in public and doing interviews, it also helps other people heal too. Because I know a lot of people still try checking in with me, and it affected them, because everybody's been on a bus, right? Even if you go to school and you ride a school bus or a city bus, you have, most not everyone in this room has been on a bus. So you understand how you feel kind of safe, and it's a happy place, no seatbelts, you get to mess around, joke around, have fun. And some of the best memories are made on the bus. And so I think that's why I touched so many people too. But the support, like I said, have just been unbelievable. And thanks once again for you guys to have me here today too. Like, I can't reiterate that, so thank you.
Dan Badanis, he's been doing the photos. I've known him for years. Big round of applause for Dan for taking time out of his day. You have a question, Dan?
Honestly, I haven't really thought about that, but I think just your continued support, just if you end up seeing the Bronco around, because I know I've been approached by lots of people. Some people do it right, some do it wrong. Some are like, they bring up the fact, or like, oh, like, I know you lost all your brothers and sisters, or sister, but like, I'm so sorry for you and all that. And that's so nice of them to come and say that, but I'd prefer if they're just like, you know what, I'm here for you, continue to keep doing great, and I love how well you're healing and dealing with this situation. 2 different perspectives that could make a difference. So if you do come in contact with one of them and you want to talk to them, just be like, hey, I know what happened, and I want to wish you all the best. I think those are like the best messages, just people wishing you the best. So I think that would be one way, and other than that, just give back. Honestly, like, remember this could happen to anyone. There's tons of people in life that have their own tragedies. There's families that completely are gone, like 2 parents and 3 children are gone, and they don't get even close to the support that we've got. Like, you gotta make sure that you're able to be there for all those people in those times, because it might not hit the global scale like this did, but I know how much an effect it had on me. So if you were able to give that to other families, I think that would be really nice.
Amazing. Thanks. Let's hear it for Kaleb, guys. I I want to spin this a little bit, kind of now speak to the parents. And one of the things through the research and through watching a lot of the videos, watching videos of your dad, there are more of your dad, and as Kaleb said at the start, both his parents are nurses, and they were in this cafe. They dine and dash. They make it down. They sort of park in the ditch. They show up on the scene, and now you have to remember, I mean, they're medical professionals, so they've been in triage and they've kind of seen some pretty gnarly stuff. And it was amazing when I heard your dad say that they walked towards the scene and they saw the carnage, and what struck to me was your dad made a comment about the bus, and he's like, "Where's the bus?" He goes, "Because that thing there, that does not look like a bus." And that's when your dad turned and said, "Nobody survived that. Like, that thing does not look like a bus. So how did anybody come out of there? It's not possible." And so it resonated with me, because I think as a dad to 2 daughters, we want all our kids to be safe. We want to inspire, we want to encourage, we want to push, we want to challenge, and we want them to be safe. And so parents, think about from your perspective what that would be like to know that your son, your daughter is in danger, or they've just gone through something and you don't know what that time period would be like. Any questions you have kind of through the eyes of Kaleb now that he's come through the other side, that you could speak as a parent, that, questions you might have, even if it's directed to him, or maybe, kind of what has it been like with your parents and kind of as the family unit?
And also to add, no questions off limits. If you guys want to ask me personal, mental, emotional, physical questions, I'm fine with that too. So you don't have to keep stuff off limits, anything like that.
Amazing. Anything from the parents? Yeah. Well, not a parent. Stand up.
I'm not a parent, but my name is Joe Malley. I'm from Toronto. So recently, the driver of the bus got, I think, 14 years in prison.
Yep.
The driver of the truck. Of the truck.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like you're not the type of person to blame people, or like you're not gonna just keep on blaming, like to say it was this guy's fault.
Yep.
But do you hear that a lot in the community about people blaming this?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of the people's healing process, is that they want to blame someone. They're not going to accept it for what it is. They want to put blame on someone. And that's 2 different roads, like I said. And I'm not saying that's a negative road, but I'm just saying there's 2 different roads for sure. And for me, I don't think he had the intention to be like, you know what, today I'm going to go and blow a stop sign and run into a bus. And so if he had that intention, then it'd be a lot more difficult for me to forgive him. But he didn't have that intention. His intention was not to run into a bus and kill 16 people. It wasn't that. And so for me, I have forgiven him, and I don't think he deserves that long of a sentence. That's my own personal opinion, though. But I think as long as he understands the effects that he made on people's life and like actually hits him emotionally, then he'll be okay. I think as long as you understand what you did and it wasn't right and you learn from it, I think that's the big message that he should receive.
Wow, amazing. Any parents have any questions? Even, what was, because I think about myself as a dad, what that would be like. Because life, when your doctor said, okay, I'll get you in a sec, Mike. When doctor said your life's going to be different, right? Like, life will always be different. Those emotions, those moments, those memories shape who we are. So, Mike, go ahead, buddy.
My mind change?
Your mantra.
Mantra? Like, what do you mean by mantra? Like the sayings or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, explain it, Mike.
So it's like your I am statements, like I am powerful, and like what you said.
Yep. The biggest one was I am resilient. And I think for many people now we kind of grasp that, is I am resilient and I enjoy the grind. Because I had a grind that many people don't really have to deal with, and hopefully none of you will have to deal with. But it was not just a physical grind, it was a mental and emotional grind. You had people wanting you from every direction. I had, I think, 150 requests for interviews. You had the mental side of people coming up to you and bringing up the accident every single time you saw someone. You go out in public. I went out in public once, and it was my first time ever. I went shopping. I was going to go to Shoppers and buy some Q-tips. I needed Q-tips. because of my bloody ear. So I was going out to buy Q-tips, and I was with my friend, and I walked into the mall. I took 2 steps in, and I was there for 10 minutes, and more people wanted to talk to me. So I turned around and left because I was like, I honestly can't go in public. That was a big mental barrier too. And it was also my physical injuries that I had to deal with as well, and coming back from those injuries to be where I am right now. And so I think the best one was I am resilient and enjoy the grind, because I had different kind of grinds in my life, and I had to enjoy my grind. And yeah, so I'd say that would be.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb. Great question, Mike. Yeah, Kevin?
Yeah, let's just talk a little bit about the future. So how did York University, how did they accept you brought you on board with kind of the experience? Now that it's happened, it's like, oh, we'll put the past in the past, but do they?
Yeah, so with York University, they ended up coming to meet me in person to hand deliver my letter of intent, because it was actually sent in the mail. I verbally committed to them in February, and they're going to send it in the mail for me to do after playoffs. And so they actually sent it in the mail, and then the accident happened. So I still never got my hands on the copy. And so they hand delivered the letter of intent, and we're like, we'll take you no matter what. Whatever shape, form you're in, we want you to be York Lion. If that's in 2023, when you are completely healthy, that's when we'll take you. Because as long as the head coach, Russ Harrington, and GM, as long as I'm here, you're going to be here. And so that's like what really stuck out to me. I was like, you know what? I want to be a Lion for sure. Like, that was the big thing. They accepted me for who I am after and before. And so when I went there, the school was very welcoming, and it was a little bit different. I was the face on campus type of thing. Everybody wanted to like come say hi or introduce themselves to me. But we had our team meeting, and I said to my coach in our team meeting, I want to address some things and get them right off first day so that everybody understands where I'm at. So we had our little non-coach skate. You're not allowed to skate with your coach until I think September. And so we would have like off-ice practices where we just scrimmage. And that was my first like ever scrimmage situation. And so the guys didn't really know how to treat me there, and they were like super reserved. They'd be like, hi, introduce themselves, and that was it. So they didn't know how like to ask me questions or talk to me. So I went to our meeting on September, like first day, September 1st, I think. And I was like, look, treat me like a normal teammate. I have accepted everything that has happened in the past, and I'm willing to talk about everything. So don't ever hold back on saying something, or worried that you have to watch what you say around me, or worried about talking about a bus, or worried about putting me in situations where it might not be comfortable. Like, I am fair game for anything. And so once I said that, it just felt like the room kind of lifted, and they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, chirp me. Like, I'm a rookie. I know I'm a rookie. I got to do rookie duties. I'm not going to not do my rookie duties. Like, I want to be treated like a normal York University men's hockey rookie. I don't want to be the Kaleb Dahlgren from the bus accident. I want to be normal hockey player, hockey rookie, and they've done that absolutely phenomenal. So I'm just thankful that they were able to do that this year and made me feel welcomed and accustomed to the York University hockey program.
Amazing. That's awesome. You know, there's something incredible about sports. I mean, I'm a little biased because hockey's our thing, but there's something amazing about a locker room with guys, and we can chirp, and we may not always like each other, but we're always there for each other. You know, at least for that year we're together, and that's what you're hearing now, and that's usually led by somebody or group. In your case, it was your coach Darcy, and so I know you and I have chatted a little bit about what Coach meant to you. He won the Willie O'Ree award for a reason. Give us a little bit of what Darcy did that stood out to you as your best coach ever, both from an on ice and an off ice perspective.
Yeah, like on ice, I'll tell you right now, he didn't know the full book of systems, but he tried to teach us the simple systems and make us bond by that system. It wasn't the most advanced type of thing. It was us sticking to our roles and knowing our roles going into our game. And so off the ice, he would teach us life lessons. I know some coaches are strictly X and O's. You do this, and you're done. You come to practice, you work out, and you leave. That's it. But off ice, he'd give us like life lessons. And I think that's something that is not really in the game of hockey nowadays. It's more your performance and how well you do in the video, the things that you have to critique on the ice. But it's not things like give back to your community. I know we had practice going into playoffs. It was, I think, 5 days before our first playoff game. There was a massive, no, I think 4 days. And there was a massive snowfall in Humboldt. We got, I think, 2.5 feet. Like, it was massive. And he was like, okay, practice is canceled. We all showed up to the rink for 9:30 check-in. And then we practiced normally at 10:30. And he's like, practice is canceled. Go home, change, get your boots, winter gear on. You guys are going to be shoveling for this morning and afternoon. And we were all just like, we have a playoff game, like our first playoff game in 4 days. Like, what do you mean? It's like, no, community needs it. We need it. You guys, it's a workout. You guys need to go and help the community out today because they need this more than we need to practice. And so I think that was one of the big life lessons that he preached. And you guys probably have seen pictures of our core covenant. And the first thing is family first. That's the first rule of our core covenant is family first. And he preached that. If guys had issues with their family or things off ice that they were dealing with, he would say families first. Like, you'll have hockey for, I think, another 10 years maybe if you're lucky, if you have a good career. But your family, they are with you. They've been with you since day one, and they're going to be with you. So your family's got to be number one. And so I think he taught us value lessons off the ice more than any coach has ever had done for me. And I credit him to all that.
Amazing. Thanks, Kaleb. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap things up. Do you have any more? Maybe have room for one more question. Anybody from parents? Mr. Videographer.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say something. I know you guys touched upon the NHL awards, and I had the honor of filming Kaleb for the NHL, and I just wanted to say, I don't know if we even mentioned it at the top, but Kaleb's the only remaining captain from the team that survived the crash. And, I remember, you're super humble, and to be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the awards was the first time that you guys all were together again since the crash.
Yeah.
And I think just everybody in this room, what it means to be a leader and a captain on your team, what Kaleb demonstrated at the awards on, national television, not just for the cameras, but with his team, everybody was crying. I was backstage with, Alexander Ovechkin and Mark Messier, the Sedin twins, and Kevin Weeks, who's a close friend of mine. And everybody was just crying, and the whole team was crying. But there was Kaleb, he knew, he's the captain. He's the last guy, and he was that rock. And there's not he was the only guy who stayed, strong. And I'm sure you probably wanted to break down too, but he was that team's rock during that moment. And even I remember meeting your dad, and he was all emotional, and you just demonstrated what it means to lead a team, and through something like that was just remarkable. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
So that's a perfect way to end. We're gonna, Dan, you want to do one shot of Kaleb and I, much like the one I did? Should we stay on the riser?
No, does it go down?
Easy for you to say. Okay.
Off to it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Take a couple shots. Let's go. Okay,
Yes, please. Thank you. Want me to take this off too?
No, leave it on. Looks good, buddy. Looks good. Look like a fighter pilot.
a couple shots. There's one. Thank you. Put your hand down, please. No, just put that hand down there. Thanks so much. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Can I get everybody to stand up and just kind of come in real close, real tight around everybody? Really tight, really tight, really tight.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I get a chair up here? Somebody bring me a chair, please.
To be right behind.
There's some crutches over there you can stand on.
Okay. Hey, guys, if you can remove your hats, please. Hats off, please. Hats off, please.
Hats off.
Okay. And if you're standing in front where I can see your hands at the side, you don't want to look like you're having to go pee, okay? All right, here we go. Right here.